Hello. It's time to understand different types of malware. Let's begin now. Many texts suggest that the word virus is an acronym. Vital information resource under siege. The function of virus is similar to what it stands for. Virus is nothing but a piece of code as mentioned earlier. This code, once executed, starts performing tasks in the background. A victim may not understand its existence right at the beginning. But as time progresses, various symptoms of virus infection can be seen. These symptoms vary as the code variation occurs. Some viruses will use up all the computing power to perform a job. It can be a simple job of pinging google.com for no apparent reason. Due to this, the victim's machine performs very slow as majority of its resources are being used by the virus. A virus damage increases as it spreads to other devices. However, it always needs to attach itself to a host file or an application to spread. Say, you downloaded subtitles of a movie, and along with the usual SRT file, there is a fishy.bat file as well. A victim might not pay much attention to it and give a copy of the same to another person. In this way, even if the victim deletes it from one of the drives, say C drive, there is a copy of it somewhere else. Not just the storage areas inside the system, a virus propagates to portable drives like USB sticks. So the infected USB stick can damage any other system it is inserted in as the virus can be caught. A victim might not pay much attention to it. In this way, even if the victim deletes it from one of the drives, not just the storage areas inside, so the infected USB stick can damage any other. This chain keeps on running, infecting multiple systems. What we saw till now: concealer, payload, replicator. The concealer's job is to make virus appear as a benign application. This part is normally done by the attacker during the creation of the virus itself. A simple way is to show another app's icon as its own. This way the victim is fooled to believe that it is a trustworthy file. What we saw till concealer, replicate. The concealer's job is to make virus appear as a benign application, i.e. a trustworthy and genuine application. This part is normally done by the attacker during the creation of the virus itself. A simple way is to show another app's icon as its own. This way the victim is fooled to believe that it is a trustworthy file. The payload is nothing but the actual piece of code where the instructions are stated. This decides the behavior of the virus. It can be a simple command of restarting the machine indefinitely. In the previous subtopic, we saw how a chain of propagation was created. This plan is devised by the replicator part of a virus. It may not be limited to. Moving ahead to our last topic on virus, the phases of this includes dormant, propagation, triggering, execution. A virus can remain dormant in its initial stage. In this phase, it just exists within a system. Not all viruses will have this phase. While being dormant, the other active phase can be propagation stage. As we saw previously, the virus attaches itself to other programs and files. In this stage, it tries to copy itself to other group of files or an application, so that when a user migrates these infected files or application, the virus can also travel. Now, the virus is existing on multiple systems, but it is still dormant as no execution has happened yet. Trigger phase becomes the starting point of execution of the virus. Normally, triggers are kept at a certain date/time. Once the system date/time is equal to the one virus is scheduled to execute, remember, by this stage, the virus has tried its best to propagate itself to multiple systems. All viruses now will trigger at the same time, say Friday the. This phase is where the payload of a virus is executed. Each virus behavior will differ as per its code. This is where the users will start feeling the symptoms of damage to their systems. In the next topic, we will be seeing briefly the other two remaining types of malware. We saw a great deal on viruses in this topic. It's time to now look at what have we learned so far with a small quiz. This completes our topic on understanding. That is all. Hello. We have already seen virus in the previous topic. It is time to now see two other types of malware. We shall finish this topic with a real case that happened in 2000. Let's begin now. We know that virus and worms are nothing but malwares. Just like virus, some texts suggest that a worm is also an acronym. It stands for write once, read multiple. By this full form, we can understand that worms differentiate from virus on one important aspect. You may recall that viruses cannot spread on its own. They need a host program to attach themselves to in order to propagate. However, a worm is capable of self-replicating itself. Hence the full form, write once but read multiple times. This shows the behavioral aspect of a worm. Both viruses and worms are capable of inflicting the same kind of damage. But a worm can be termed as more nasty than the virus. It doesn't need the help of a human or a host program to propagate. Worms are standalone pieces of software code that try propagation on its own. These codes look for some known vulnerability of systems that can facilitate spreading of malwares. Usual place is the stored email addresses on a machine. More on this, in coming subtopics. The name of this malware comes from an ancient story of a battle between the Greeks and the people of. Greeks sent a huge wooden horse as a gift to Troy. However, inside this wooden horse, Greek soldiers were waiting to attack. People of Troy accepted this shiny gift only to find themselves caught in the onslaught. This malware gets its name from that same wooden horse. Trojan horse is a malicious piece of code that looks legitimate to the victims. However, it can inflict the difference with Trojan. A user is likely to receive a Trojan file in an email attachment which once opened, starts its execution phase. Single-handedly it brought down major corporations' email networks. This malware is received as an email with an attachment called loveletterforyou.txt.vbs. Once saved on the system, the last part. VBS, which defines the file type being a Visual Basic script, was hidden in that era's Windows system. This file extension was hidden because VB, therefore all the known file types extension was hidden by default. So, what did it mean to the naive users? A user would look at the file and think it to be a benign. And therefore, the likelihood of opening this malware was very high. Once opened, the VB script gets activated and this malware attains the execution phase. I Love You then overwrites a lot of existing files, resulting in, however, the most deadly bit of this malware was its propagation mechanism. It copied all the email addresses from the Windows address book which was used by Microsoft. The malware then forwards the infected email to all the receiver of these emails would see that this email is sent by a known person rather than the originating attacker's email. This way, within minutes, thousands of emails started proliferating which resulted in the complete shutdown of. This attack was estimated to have caused used $58 billion in damages worldwide. Over 50 million infections were reported in 10 days. The damage was quantified as the time and effort spent in removing the infection and recovering files from backup. Hopefully, you now understand how destructive the malware. In the next topic, we will be seeing how to plan an attack. It's time to now look at what have we learned so far with a small quiz. This completes our topic on all types of malwares. Viruses. Sorry. If you don't get the above reference, it's okay. That is all. Hello. You may have developed the greatest. Let's begin now. Before launching any attack, it is important to fix on a target. A target can be an individual or a complete. Once that is done, we can move to the stage called reconnaissance. In military terms, this means to obtain information about. In our case as well, it means exactly the same. Reconnaissance is done to obtain information about our target. This gathering of information can be done using passive methods. Active methods. Passive methods include anything that doesn't involve. This means gathering information via social. It includes everything that is available as open source. Active methods include anything that involves direct interaction with your target. It could be as simple as talking with your individual target and extract. In other ways, a hacker can break into the private network of an organization as well. There is one major issue with both these methods mentioned above. An attacker is supposed to remain unidentified by its target. It's not necessary, however, we all love a bit of cat and mouse chase in our lives. This is possible because of IP addresses. An IP address is the address from where a message originates on a network. It is with these addresses that any system is identified in a network. Since both the methods requires the attacker to be connected, this problem advocates the need for masking identity. Proxy servers can help with this. Proxy servers are used as an attacker accesses the target's information via these. The target will always think that this attack was originated by the proxy server. The process of creating connection between the attack. Tunneling helps in creating a private. There are many tunneling protocols like SS. We wouldn't be delving much into this as it is outside the scope. Deciding on a target. Identifying what method to use. Masking your identity. Now all that remains is to collect information. An important way to do this is by. It makes you understand a thing or two about your target. The best way to go. It can give you vital information like email. This way a personalized attack can be performed using the above information. An organization's social profiles can prove helpful as well. It gives you access to hundreds of employee names, which in turn give more records of vital information. These new names and email ads generate newer targets at an exponential rate. The method explained to obtain information is also termed as email address harvesting. With this, a major attack can be triggered. Tons of targets reciprocates into more damage. In the next topic, we will be seeing some attacks performed at system level. It's time to now look at what have we learned so far with a small quiz. That is all. Hello. We have reached the ultimate stage of system hacking. Let's begin now. Till now, whatever we saw few malwares that trick the users in executing them. But this topic deals with breaking into an authentication system. Many of the movies have glorified this section of hacking. The protagonist, while trying to access a system, faces then some random blue and black screens appear. And, voila! Password is cracked. The methods we saw till now, like information gathering, will only. The most complex bit lies in performing the actual hack. Let's see some classifications and methods for the same. Non-technical password attack. Technical password attack. The most killer things often comes in the simplest forms. These attacks require zero technical know-how. We shall look at these one by one. As the people nowadays have way too many passwords to remember. And the simplest way to keep a track of these is to write it down. An attacker using this method is behind those valuable pieces of paper. or old note. Sometimes you may find that recycle bin is actually in my opinion. In this method, an attacker tries to get the password directly from the target. Credit card frauds usually takes place with the help of social engineering. An attacker may pose as an authoritative person and persuade the target in divulging all important details. This type of attack is very dangerous because the attacker can easily gain access to information from any corner of the world. All he needs to do is connect with the target using a phone call or a messenger. The worrying bit is that naive users get fooled very easily because of faceless contact. At a workplace, people sit too close to each other. Do not tell me that you had never seen your colleague's payslip by mistake. Or at least of some random person in your life. It is bound to happen. Attackers' creepiness level goes too high in this case. They are always, may Lord save you from such nasty attacks. As we read this, but it is these non-technical attacks that create huge havoc. Saving yourself from these is the sole responsibility of each individual. It is time to pay attention to how we deal with confidential information in our personal as well as professional lives. A hacker won't be lucky every time with non-technical mechanisms. He or she will need some technical measures, and we shall discuss the same as following. Password guessing and automated password guessing. Password sniffing. Keystroke loggers. This technique involves all the prior information captured during pre-attack stage. With this information, an attacker guesses the password of the authentication system. Obviously, a guess won't be right in the first go. Hence, the need for automated password guessing. It is not much different from the steps mentioned above. But a bit of data preparation is done in this case. A list of possible passwords are noted in a document first. A looping code is written such that the system prompts for the part where a password is required after each unsuccessful attempt. The code will pick each entry from the list of possible passwords and keep checking. This same technique of listing possible passwords can be extended to listing of possible usernames as well, if required. A large part of traffic passes through a network every day which may not be encrypted. This means that the password you just typed into the login page of a website traveled as it is on the network. An attacker, monitoring the network, with some tools like Pass-the-Hash or Wireshark, can easily sniff your password in such a case. Such tools record each packet that traverses in a network. With proper monitoring, an attacker can identify the packet that is transported. Only problem that arises with this method is when passwords are encrypted and then sent in a packet. However, attackers now boast of reverse hash tools that can generate back the passwords for them. One important bit is that to perform this kind of an attack, the hacker must have some amount of access to either the system itself or the network. Without this, the monitoring of network packets won't be possible. Keystroke logger is definitely a brutal form of password cracking. If this is present on your system, It means every key pressed by you has been recorded by these hacking tools. This in turn means that at some point the password was also pressed and the attacker already has it in clear text form. No need of reverse hashing or decryption. Keystroke loggers can be in hardware or software form. In our workplaces, we hardly check for any susceptible devices attached to our computer. The hardware piece, which looks like a USB/keyboard cable, can have Wi-Fi functionality as well. With this, all detected keystrokes are accessed by the attacker wirelessly. In the next topic, we will be seeing web-based hacking measures. It's time to now look at what have we learned so far with a small quiz. This completes our topic on system. That is all.